Yeah, there's welding going on next door.
I really can't hear it.
That's good. I feel like
Yeah.
I will pick it up for sure in my mic, but
Mm.
that's been going on for the past 2 weeks.
What the fuck are they welding?
They're
A
making like a
building.
whole new gate structure around an
Oh,
apartment,
okay.
but
Makes
it's all
sense.
from like they like gathered scrap metal. Like it's not like they went to Home Depot and
That's so LA.
I know.
Yeah. I thought it was those pesky Scientologists at it again.
No. Oh my gosh. I have something to tell you on that.
Okay, so
We are recording.
welcome to the Patreon only episode. Hopefully we're going to get a few more of these out. Maybe
We
try and
are.
do like,
Yeah.
yeah, should we do like one every other week?
I don't know.
That's too many. That's too many. Anyway, we'll figure out the scheduling. But yeah, there's
Yeah,
definitely going to be ad hoc as and when we come up with ideas, Patreon episodes.
exactly.
So
But we wanted to
yeah,
do it for our Patreon listeners because we love you guys and
yeah,
thank you so much for supporting us in this way. It's amazing.
yeah. I cannot believe that somebody likes me enough to give me a fiver a month. That is mental. So
Yeah, somebody other than my grandma.
yeah, someone other than my mum.
Right.
So this episode, we thought we would do our top 3 true crime documentaries
Yes.
because I will tell you this. I look through, someone goes, oh, like, let's put on a true crime documentary. I'm like, I've seen them all.
Yeah.
I have seen them all. Like, you cannot find one that I have not seen.
And if you haven't, then you've heard it all. You know what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes people will try, and I think like you're probably familiar with this, and like a lot of our listeners will be. Somebody tells you something, and you're like, I know. Trust me, I know.
Yeah,
Like,
someone said to me the other day, "Did you know that there's a website called Murderpedia?" And I was like,
yeah.
"Yes."
I know. Oh yeah, what was the famous one I had, which was my friend went, did you know there was a serial killer caught with a floppy disk? I was like that. Yes, BTK. Of course I know. Like,
Yeah. What else do you want to know?
yeah, I can tell you all about it. So there's nothing makes me happier than a true crime documentary coming out. Like someone goes, oh, there's like a new true crime documentary. I'm like wait, like I look on Netflix for the date and then I clear my schedule for that day
Yeah.
and I just watch
Uh
it. Like,
Speaking of that, there is a new HBO one that's just come out. It's a serialized one. It's not like a film. And I'm
mm,
waiting for them all to come out so that I can watch them because when I
what is it?
watched uh, it's
So I can watch it. Come
yeah,
on.
Murder on Middle Beach.
Ooh. So has one episode come out?
I think 2 so far has come out at
That's
this
good enough for
recording
me.
time. I'm waiting because when I watched The Vow, I watched it every week and it wasn't I was like I need to binge it. I don't want to just wait till the next
It
episode
is
comes out.
irritating.
Yeah.
It is annoying. But I'm so desperate at the moment that I'll probably take that on the chin.
Yeah. But check it
Yeah,
out
I'm
and
pretty thirsty for a new true crime doc.
yeah, it's about a son who he investigates his mom's murder.
Oh, okay. Have I heard of this? I don't know.
HBO
Um,
they're like killing it with documentaries right now. They did The Vow, they just did this one. I feel like
yeah,
they don't tell you until a week before that it's coming out, so you don't always know.
I know. So good.
Yeah,
HBO can do no wrong in my
right.
eyes.
I
Like
know.
they're up there with Josh Hallmark.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. So I, as I said, watch so many true crime documentaries that I ingest them at such a rate that there's
Hmm.
like few which I will watch again or
Yes.
say to somebody like, you have to watch this. Like
Yes.
usually I'm like, I know that I like true crime and that not everyone else does, and so I'm not going to bore you with it. And then sometimes I'm like, no, this is fucking amazing. Like you
Right.
have to watch this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the criteria that I was thinking about.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's definitely for my number one. I've watched it 6 times and I've made people watch it in my presence.
Yeah, that's my number one. I've made
Yeah.
people watch it in my presence.
It's just really well made.
3 or 4 people, I think, I've like shoved that on.
Yeah.
So yeah. So here's my number three.
Okay.
There's Something Wrong with Aunt Diane.
Really good documentary.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Came out in 2011. And it's a HBO documentary, so you know it's like Italian hand kiss.
Yep.
So well made. And you can get it if you want to watch it. You can get it on YouTube, and it's also on Dailymotion. So it's a one-off film, and it's about 1 hour 40 long, and it's directed by a woman called Liz Garbus. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like a plus point already. It's directed by a woman.
Yes.
Um,
Go
she
Liz.
also she also did the film called The Farm, Angola, which is about like that hideous prison. It's like the worst prison.
Okay. I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, that's also a really good film, and that was Oscar nominated.
Okay.
So basically, if you haven't seen it, There's Something Wrong with Aunt Diane is about a woman called Diane Schuler. She was camping with her family in upstate New York, and then they decide to drive home like separately, and she takes all the kids with her. And she's done this drive like loads of times. They're always at the campsite. And then so there's 5 young children in the car, her son, her daughter, and her 3 nieces. And then 4 hours after she left the campsite, she drives the wrong way up the Taconic State Parkway for nearly 2 miles. And the police are getting like shitloads of calls being like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And then she eventually crashes into an oncoming SUV, and that kills her and the 5 children and 7 others.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, so it kills her, the 5 children, and then 2 men as well, I think.
Right. The people in the other car, right?
Yeah, and it's one of the worst motor vehicle accidents to ever happen in New York State history.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the film is like, why did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
And you see her in a garage or like a service station, and she looks fine, but I think she's buying like painkillers or something.
Yeah.
And when they do her autopsy, they find out that she has really high blood alcohol levels, and they also found vodka in the car. But
Right.
her husband is just completely in denial.
It's so sad how much he's in
It
denial
really
and how
is.
much he's trying to fight that wasn't her. That wasn't who she was.
And she had like weed in her system as well, and he didn't know that she smoked weed, I don't think.
Mm.
It's kind of suggested that she was like a secret alcoholic,
Yeah.
and nobody knew.
In the documentary, they do give time to the husband, and he does give his case of like, weren't there certain mistakes were made and when they did the autopsy or like
Yeah,
when they were investigating it, there were mistakes, and that's why the husband is in denial because he's probably hanging on to those little mistakes that
yeah,
in his mind prove that they're wrong and that this is just some freak accident.
yeah. They're like, oh, she had like a brain attack of some
Mm-hmm.
sort. She had like a psychotic episode or something like that. But to be honest, like, even if you're really fucking drunk, driving for 2 miles in the wrong direction,
Yeah,
that can't just be drink.
you have to
You
be
know, you know you're on the wrong side of the road. Like,
right
you have to be blind drunk, barely functioning.
or
To
hallucinating if you took
maybe,
painkillers,
yeah,
you're drinking vodka, and maybe you smoked weed.
smoking weed, yeah.
I just think about the kids in the car. How terrified were they probably?
They called, and that's why
Yeah.
the documentary is called that, isn't it? Because they call their parents and say there's something wrong with Aunt Diane,
Yeah.
and that's why it's called that, which is like really haunting.
It's so scary. It's so sad.
They have Werner Spitz as well, who's like this incredibly famous forensic pathologist,
Yeah.
and he is involved in the John Benet Ramsey uh documentary. He's involved in
Mhm.
that. Like, I think he might have been in The Staircase as well. Like, he's just like a really famous forensic pathologist that's always
Right.
on TV. And they take the autopsy to him, and he's like, okay, I'll look over it. And he's like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Mm,
It is what it is.
yeah.
He's a master in his field,
Yeah.
and they still don't believe it. But also, I would say the thing that shocked me about that documentary was they show pictures of her at the end,
Mm-hmm.
actual pictures of the scene. They show her dead, like
Mm-hmm.
slumped.
Yeah.
They're really graphic pictures at the end. And I was just like, whoa, I cannot believe you're allowed
Yeah.
to show this.
Yeah.
Really shocking. But anyway, it's just like a completely weird crime. And the people in it are really interesting. And it's just absolutely savage, the amount of like children that die in it and stuff. And yeah, seeing a relative of somebody who's done something horrible and they are now dead is quite an interesting thing to watch. So
Yeah.
that's my number 3.
Nice one. That's a good choice. It's a
Mm,
classic.
really good.
Also, if you're a listener right now, let us know what your top 3 are. I would love to
Oh yeah,
know.
definitely. Because if I haven't seen it, I will eat my sofa.
Yeah. And then we'll give you a shout out too,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
you recommended something that we had missed.
Yes, absolutely.
My number 3 is The Thin Blue Line. Have you watched it?
I tried to watch it and I like lost interest.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me why I should watch it again.
Okay, so it's a film made in 1988 by Errol Morris, who's a famous documentary maker.
hmm
He's set so many standards.
Cool.
And also he was a detective before he became a filmmaker, which I did not know.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So it's about the trial and subsequent conviction of Randall Dale Adams for the murder of Texas police officer Robert Wood. It's a great documentary. It's like you maybe lost interest because so many people have done the same thing afterwards really well, but it's the first
Mm.
ever true crime documentary that did reenactments,
Ah.
and that caused a lot of controversy because they were saying how it made people think a certain way. And it's about this cop who got shot on the street. And they have
hmm
like 6 different witnesses or however many witnesses, and they do reenactments for each witness's story.
hmm
So if there's like a difference in like, oh, she dropped her milkshake, or
Yeah,
she
yeah.
shot out the window, or no, she didn't shoot out the window, she whatever. All the reenactments show the different versions of the different stories that witnesses gave.
Yeah. It doesn't help that like I've not watched it, so I can't talk about like I have watched
Yeah.
it, but
Okay.
it
This is the other thing. It also uses the style of like people talking straight into the camera, which like
yeah.
wasn't used, and that can be like a very personal experience with the audience. I'm talking very technically as like a documentary filmmaker, and this is why because it's like it's like whatever you watch now was greatly influenced by The Thin Blue Line in how they did it, how they used like cinematic music. Like the
hmm
music in that film is just it was by Philip Glass, and Errol Morris chose him because he does existential dread better than anybody for films.
The longer the note, the higher the dread.
That's exactly what I thought of. Super hands.
Yeah, in Deep Show.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, he said he's the master of existential dread. And lastly, I can't watch this film without thinking of Documentary Now when they make fun of this film.
Oh, do they?
Yes, it's they do it to a T. It's like made exactly like the shot for shot, except they add funny things in. It's like slow motion sign spinner like out on the street, and then one of those like blow up tube
Yeah.
dancers outside. It's like slow motion, it gets shot and then just falls to the ground deflated.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
yeah, it's just Documentary Now is hilarious, and if you like
hmm
documentaries, you should watch Documentary Now. That's my like honorable mention.
Yeah, you introduced me to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you introduced me to documentary now, and I don't think I ever would have found it without you. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is really good. And it's got that guy in it. He's in like loads of films. He's in like Forgetting Sarah Marshall and what's his name? He's also in Trainwreck. He plays like the love interest.
Oh yeah. He's on a really good show called Barry on HBO. Have you watched that?
Yeah. No.
Oh man, Talissa, you have to watch that. You
Is it
have to watch.
good?
Yeah, Bill Hader.
Bill Hader. Okay.
Yeah.
So The Thin Blue Line, do you know what? I can watch it with like that in mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll definitely give that another shot.
I totally understand where you're coming from though, because I watched it before I did documentaries and I was like, this is kind of boring. But then when I learn when I learned the like history behind it and the controversy and all that kind of stuff, I watched
Yeah.
it again with like a new pair of eyes.
Yeah. Do you know what else I like doing? I like finding out who made a documentary that I really like and then looking at their other documentaries.
Oh yeah, I do that all the time with all
That I've
films.
only I've only just had that idea. Like
Yeah.
and I did it with Nick Broomfield and I
Hmm.
was like, oh my God, he's got all these other fucking amazing documentaries. Like it just opens up a whole nother door of
Yeah.
viewing.
What else did he have that you saw?
So he does the Eileen Wernos ones.
Okay, yeah.
And I also did it with Werner Herzog, and he
Mm,
does like shitloads of great documentaries. Really weird voice.
yeah, he did one about death row, the guys on death row.
Yeah, that was so good.
It's really
He meets
good.
Dahlia. He meets Dali Rutia,
Yeah,
that woman who like killed her kids and then
right,
said that it was a burglar,
right.
and then she had like a party at a kid's grave. Do you remember? She had
Yes.
like silly string at a kid's grave, and like
Yes. I remember.
yeah, that's a great case as well. If you've not heard of it, it's really, really interesting. And she fucking clearly murdered the kids. Like, people are like, oh, I don't know if she did it. Of course she fucking did it. Like, are you stupid?
I know. What kind of weirdo has a party at your kid's grave and brings decorations?
And silly string. And it was
Yeah,
like a week after it happened as well. It wasn't
exactly.
even like a year later. It was
Yeah.
immediately. Yeah, that woman is such a murderer. So, my number two
Yes.
is Capturing the Freedmans.
Okay.
So, have you seen it?
I have seen it.
Yeah, so it was in 2003. It's 43 minutes long. Seems like longer, but again, HBO. Can't argue with that.
That's one of the documentaries that came out that was just it was huge. It was everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, it was when DVDs were everyone had
Around.
DVDs. Yeah. There was no Netflix yet.
DVDs were a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like I really wanted to watch it and it was such a how old was I? 2003, 16. So it
Mm.
was like I couldn't ask my parents to like rent it. So I think I had to
Get it
wait
through the
like
black
5
market.
years. Yeah, exactly. I had to wait a long time before I could watch that film.
Yeah. So it's directed by a guy called Andrew Jarecki, and it's about a family, and the dad of the family is he's called Arnold.
Mhm.
He gets sent in the post child he gets sent child pornography in the post from the
Yeah.
Netherlands, and the US Postal Service intercept it,
Mhm.
and then obviously that kicks off an investigation, and so they go to his house, and then they find more child pornography there, and then they find out that he's been teaching computer classes to kids,
Mhm.
and those children have been sexually abused.
Yeah.
But what's so great about it and what I love about it is that it's nearly all of it is like home footage
Mhm.
from which is the what is his name, the son who also gets charged with child abuse,
Yeah. Right.
Jesse Friedman. The kids from the computer science class say that he was also abusing them as well, but it gets ridiculous. Like, I think some of it is true, and then the kids are also kind of coached to like say stuff, and then it gets the
Yeah.
stuff they accuse them of doing is just like
Right.
insanity.
Right.
So it's just like basically a bit like Chinese whispers, and it just all gets really out of hand.
Yeah.
But they film it's filmed like Jesse is filming the family at home while this horrible thing is happening to them, and it's like, why the hell is he doing that?
And weren't they just acting like everything was normal too? Like, oh, these are
Yeah,
just regular home videos.
yeah, but they're arguing in it, like they're
Right.
filming a family argument. It's
It's so
so
weird.
bizarre.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre and like such a weird format, and you could cut the atmosphere with a knife
Right.
because like I say, he's recording a family argument, which is bad at the best of times.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see a video of my family arguments. Like,
No.
absolutely not.
I've thought about that as like a filmmaker. What would happen if I just, especially during quarantine,
Oh my
there's
God.
been quite a few arguments in our apartment.
Yeah. I'm sure somebody has done that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I would want to do it to look back and be like, what kind of stupid things were we like these things that we're arguing about are
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. But we're like fucking chickens like in a battery hen cage. We're
Yeah.
just like pecking at each other for stuff to do.
Right.
So, also another interesting thing about this documentary is that it got made because Andrew Jarecki was making a film called Just a Clown,
Mhm.
which was about children's birthday party entertainers in New York. So, um, there's a clown called Silly Billy, and
Yeah.
that's David Friedman, who
Yeah.
is Jesse's brother Arnold's son. And so it's just like this sinister
Yep.
beginning where
Yeah.
where David Friedman is dressed up as a clown at kids' parties, and then you
Yeah.
go on to find that his dad and brother were sexually abusing children, and it's just like
Yeah.
ew. But yeah, anyway, Jarecki was around when the child sexual abuse charges were brought against them, and he was like, I want to make a film about that.
Mhm.
So it was kind of like completely uh, fate that he got the idea and like had the access and stuff.
It's funny cuz in film school when they're talking about documentaries, then they use that one as an example where it's like when you're making a documentary, you cannot account for what's going to happen. You might go down a completely different road because you found
Yeah,
this amazing story. And that
like
the same
tickled.
thing. Yeah, exactly. The
Yeah.
same thing happened with Thin Blue Line. Errol Morris was investigating Dr. Death, and he got like funding and he was gonna make
Really?
a documentary about Dr. Death, and then he ended up interviewing someone at prison, and they were like, oh, you should interview this guy, he says that he's innocent.
Mm.
And so that's the path that he went down. So
Ah.
it's just kind of insane when how sinister things can get when you like want to make a happy film
Oh my God. Like digging
about
around is
clowns.
never a good idea.
No.
Like you don't know what you're gonna fucking come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your number two?
My number 2 is The Act of Killing. Have you watched that
Oh
one?
my God. So again, I've tried to get through it and like I can't. Although, do you know what? I think I probably did get all the way through it. But yeah, the stuff, it's hard watching.
It's very hard watching. It's also mostly subtitles. So
Yeah. And
that
that puts
can,
people off.
yeah, exactly. But it's about the individuals who participated in the Indonesian mass killings of 1965 through 1966. The film follows some of these men who still have some notoriety and power as the film crew encouraged them to reenact what happened in the 60s. And that's what's
Yeah.
insane about it. They're just walking around, going up to like locals in their town, being like, hey, be in our film. Pretend that we're setting your house on fire and we're killing your children.
Oh
And
my God,
scream
yeah.
at the camera and like and they just met this person, and they're in this town, they're surrounded by like mothers and children, and then they're like, come on, we're gonna reenact this scene right now, I'm killing you now, scream. And it's
I
like,
have 100% seen it. Yeah.
yeah, that's how the film starts.
Yeah. And it's just like they have no shame in telling you what they did. That's the crazy part. That's another
Yeah,
crazy part. Like
right.
they're just like, okay, so I think it's because like I think it's probably a credit to the filmmaker
Yes.
of your approach. You have to approach them like completely non-judgmentally to get them to tell you what you want to know.
Right. Exactly. And you kind of have to like big them up and be on their side as
Yeah,
well.
act like it's nothing and be like, oh my
Right.
God, that's so cool. What else did you do?
But
Thing.
you're like a fan of them, or yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're kind of tricking them. I don't like that about filmmaking. I don't want to
Don't
trick.
you?
No.
You want to be Louis Theroux. You want to be like,
Yeah. Yeah, they're like casting for this film, and they also use like dreamlike sequences where they're
yeah.
kind of, it's so hard to describe. There's like a giant fish, and there's women dancing in a green field, and there's like smoke and fog.
It's almost like a Chinese theatre.
Right.
I don't know why they do that as well. I think it's just visual, like, because it's a beautiful country, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and it's supposed to be metaphorical. Like the
Mm-hmm.
filmmakers come up with the metaphorical scenes with the actual men. So it's like it just kind
Right.
of shows how insane these men are, that
Yeah.
they've killed people, and they come up with these like beautiful dreamlike scenes.
I also think that probably helps because they're like, that's properly involving them. Do you know what I mean? It's giving
Yes.
them a bit of artistic license over it as well. They're like,
Right.
I need you to help me
Right.
tell this story, kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yeah. I know what you mean about like getting bored of it or getting put off with it, but once you get to the end, I don't want to ruin it. So if you don't want to know what happens at the end, then you can fast forward it, but I'm telling you, Talissa.
Okay.
But they've interviewed these men, two men, throughout the film. They've explained why they've killed a bunch of people, how they've killed them, like gathering them all
Mm-hmm.
onto a rooftop and like cutting their heads off or whatever,
Yeah.
and how they're living now. They seem to have a great life now. Like, everyone knows
Mm-hmm.
who they are, and
No
they've
consequences whatsoever.
no concept. They're friends with people in government. They show like how Indonesia is right now under the same kind of people ruling.
Mm-hmm.
But the main old guy, there's this scene at the end, and it's always stuck with me, and I think that's why I picked this film. He's just like talking, and then he stops talking, and he just starts to like throw up because
Oh my God.
he's just been talking about murdering people, and you could tell that
Yeah.
it's a complete like body reaction to something that
Yeah.
he's just repressed. He's just
Yeah.
pushed
Like he hasn't
down.
had to think about it.
Yeah, or think about it in a bad way.
Yeah.
That's just what's stuck with me for so long.
That's pretty powerful end to a documentary.
Yeah. So I would recommend it as, yeah, if you just want to see something that's so mental, and these people are alive now, like you could go talk to them if you wanted to.
And it's a good history lesson. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it's a good history lesson, and it's like a genocide, basically, isn't it?
Right.
Um,
For something that happened in another part of the world that, I mean, I didn't know anything about it.
no, I didn't.
Yeah.
It is definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
It's almost a bit like Requiem for a Dream, though. Like, it's so horrible that I wouldn't watch it twice.
Yes, exactly. For recording this, I started watching it, and I was like, oh,
Not
this
this
is why
again.
I'll never watch it again.
Like Jacob's Ladder, don't get me fucking started on that again.
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
no. That film was made by Josh Oppenheimer, and he's done so many good documentaries. He
oh,
did The Look of Silence, which was, I think that was also about the same
I've
kind
seen
of
that
storyline.
advertised.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But he's very well known in like the documentary world.
that documentary is like another level. It's
Yeah.
like it's really hard like to explain, but it's like what's wrong with Aunt Diane, or like sorry, there's something wrong with Aunt Diane, and like other ones are kind of telling you the story, whereas like
Mhm.
that documentary is a work of art.
Yeah.
It's speaking to people that will never speak to anybody else. That story isn't like detailed in magazines. Like it's a very like stoic and serious topic that he's tackled in a beautiful way.
Right. He's made these dreamlike sequences that have no business being in a story about genocide.
Yeah,
And that's what makes it on another
it's
level.
really well done.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, like I said, when Nick Broomfield goes somewhere and he's just like, who can we talk to? And then he just like stumbles upon people. Do you know what I
Wings
mean?
it. Yeah.
Absolutely fucking wings it. Like this guy has planned to
Yes.
death
Yeah.
who he's talking to and what he's doing, but he hasn't necessarily planned the scenes. So like they play out naturally,
Right.
but he knows who he's talking to, where, why, and when,
Yeah.
and what he's going to do. And that
Which
shows.
that it takes so much work. It takes years of work
Yeah,
to be trusted by people like that.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so my number one,
Yes.
and the one that I've literally pushed on so many people, is The Jinx.
Yes.
So the full name of it is The Jinx: The Life and Deaths of Robert Durst.
Mhm.
Um, and came out in 2015, and it's another HBO. Everything on my list is HBO. Like, I've just realised
Exactly. They can't do wrong.
they're fucking great. That's why it's another level of like Prime documentary HBO
Yes.
that you can get it on Now TV in England and Amazon Prime as well. When I originally watched it, I bought every episode because I
Oh,
wanted to watch it so
wow.
much. Yeah. So it's 6 episodes long and it's so bingeable. You can watch
It
it like
is.
you're like itching for the next episode to come on. It's
Yeah.
fucking amazing. So it's basically about a New York real estate heir called Robert Durst. He is a tiny, creepy, white-haired old man with like devil goat eyes.
So
Like,
creepy.
he is petrifying, and he's so creepy. Like, the stuff that he does is just, he's like something from a horror film.
Yeah.
So it was written by Andrew Jarecki, again, same guy
Yeah.
that did Capturing the Freedmans.
Let me look
Definitely
him up.
looking at what else he does because I obviously really like his documentaries. So nice, I included him twice.
He did
The one
Catfish, the TV show. He produced that.
I love that. I love that TV show. So it's written by him and also by Mark Smerling and by Zach Stewart Pontier. So Andrew Jarecki, and again, this was kind of made. This documentary was made like by accident, much
Mhm.
like Capturing the Freedmans. I
Yeah.
don't know who Andrew Jarecki is blowing upstairs, but like great opportunities just keep falling into his lap
Yeah.
because he basically bought out a film called All Good Things, and it's that was bought out in 2010.
With good old Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, and Kirsten Dunst.
Mhm.
So basically, that film is about Robert Durst's life, and it's very flattering.
I mean, having Ryan Gosling as the person who plays you.
That is not what Robert Durst looks like. He looks like fucking
Nothing.
Gollum.
Yeah.
So no wonder he was absolutely chuffed, and he rang up Andrew Jarecki and said that he wanted to talk to him, which is amazing because he's never spoken to any journalist ever before that.
Yeah. Right.
Refuses every single um, refuses every single request. But it just goes to show that he is a psychopath narcissist.
Yes.
And somebody made a very flattering film about him with Ryan Gosling in, and he was like, "Oh, I'll talk to you."
This guy gets me.
Yep, this guy knows exactly what I'm about. Washboard abs. So, yeah, so he professed admiration for the film and he offered to be interviewed. So, this conversation was recorded and incorporated into the documentary. He ended up sitting with Jarecki for over 20 hours over several years. And the series starts with a body has washed up on Galveston Bay in Texas and it's in
Mhm.
bin bags.
Yeah.
And in the bin bags is his ID. So they find out that he's a guy called Morris Black, and they find out where he lived, and they find out that he lives next to this like weird old woman who doesn't talk. And you're like, what? Turns out that's Robert Durst in a wig.
Yeah.
You're just like, what the fuck? So that's just episode one. Like,
Insane.
it's insanity, and it all really happened, and like then you just it just fucking unfurls into like this mad shit that he's done over the years. And
And how much he's gotten away with.
yeah, and he's all, but why has he gotten away with it? Because he's a
Yeah.
fucking billionaire.
White man billionaire.
Old white rich man gets away
Yeah.
with crime.
Right.
Headlines. Headlines we hear every day. So yeah, and like trust me when I say this is one of the only true crime documentaries that has genuinely scared the shit out of me.
What scared you about it?
So without like being too spoilery, at the end when he's talking, and
Yeah.
so basically he's really old and a bit doddery, and he doesn't realize that he has a fucking microphone attached to his top, and so he
Yeah.
he speaks to himself, and it's really creepy. And
Yeah.
he like says stuff, and they pick it up on the mic, and they're like, his lawyer like runs over to him, and is like, "Your mic's on."
That's how they
Oh my god.
presented it in the documentary, though.
Oh really? So you don't
That's not
think?
how it happened.
Is it not?
No.
What?
So
Rachel,
I'm
don't ruin this for
sorry.
me.
I'm sorry.
So
I
what
don't have to
happened?
tell you. Nobody like came over and stopped him. Nobody he wasn't
No,
they
they
didn't just
didn't.
leave him and sit there. He
No, they did in the first bit. In the first bit, he's being interviewed, and he is like practicing saying something over and over again. And that bit happened. At the end, no one comes up and says, "Your microphone's on."
yeah.
But in the beginning, they do. I've
But like
watched it
the
like four
actual
times.
the when they like just show black and then they show him
Yeah,
just talking, it's
yeah,
because he went to the
yeah,
bathroom or something.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, he is shit at not realizing he has a microphone on.
Yeah.
So that's as much as I can say without like ruining it. But fuck me, it is one of the most crackers documentaries I've ever seen. And my dad and my stepmom watched it, and they like binged it all,
Yeah.
like just because I showed them like the first 15 minutes of one episode.
It's
It's
insane.
incredible.
5 stars, would recommend. I agree with you. Number
Definitely,
1.
yeah. What's your number one?
My number 1 is Going Clear.
Oh, I love
Obviously. The full name is Going Clear: Scientology and the Prison of Belief. So for those who have not seen it because they haven't been in my presence and I haven't forced them to watch it, it's an HBO documentary by Alex Gibney, who is another great documentary filmmaker. It's the history of L. Ron Hubbard and how he started Scientology and the tactics that Scientology used to get people to join, as well as make them stay in the cult, including using high profile celebrities and buying property all over the world to give the illusion of growth.
I'd gladly watch it, mate. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Also, do you want to hear a funny story about when I first watched Going Clear?
Yes.
You know when like our mutual friend broke up with me?
Yes.
I was so depressed that I stayed in bed and I ate pepperonis, which is just like salami, like,
Yeah.
and I drank red wine and I took codeine and I just like led in bed watching Scientology documentaries. I got down a Scientology hole, and like you suggested Going Clear, and I was like, ah, this soothes me. And that's the first time I watched it.
It's so funny how like certain films and TV shows you watched in like a horrible haze of something and that's what makes you remember it.
And like my mum honestly came in the room at like 2 in the afternoon, and she was like, are you okay? I just had like fucking pants and vest on, drinking red wine from the bottle. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. She was like, okay, I'll check on you in another hour.
Meanwhile, something harrowing is happening on the TV and you're just like, "Shut up, I'm watching this."
And then it's like, L. Ron Hubbard, like in the background.
Yeah, so the film also interviews people who joined and then left, and it follows how they were coerced into doing different things for Scientology, give them a bunch of money, and then how they were able to escape it, leaving some of their family members and loved ones behind. It also shows how Scientology harasses those who have left and have spoken out
Yep.
against it.
Which is mad.
Yeah, including Alex Gibney, who is the filmmaker. They started harassing
Really?
him. Yeah, they kind of show that towards the end. They harassed
Yeah, I think
him,
I do remember.
and it's just like, if you claim that you are religion and you're doing stuff like this,
They fully like buy houses living across from somebody so that they can like ruin their life and spy on them. Like, or
exactly.
like make friends with, like pretend to make friends with them. Like it's such a long con.
And it seems like such a waste of time. It's just like, just let
And
people live their
energy.
lives. Yeah,
I know. Yeah. A simple "we're not talking to you anymore" would do.
right.
Like,
You're out. So, on that note, you know how I pretty much live across the street from a huge Scientology building?
yeah.
My friend is a plumber, and he just told me this past weekend that he went into that building. And I was
Oh my
like,
God.
was there no one in there? And he was like, yeah, there's no one in there, and there's doors that lead to nothing.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We need to get him to our body cam.
I should ask
Oh.
him next time he does that. He's the also the person who did our theme song.
Oh, good
David.
for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although maybe I shouldn't in case Scientology are like listening. I won't name
Well,
him.
Scientology will have to also be a Patreon.
Yeah. That's fine. I'll take
So,
their money. They have a lot of money.
I think we're fine on that one.
Yeah, so he went into that building that is across the street from me and fixed their toilets or whatever problem they were having.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need him to wear some sort of camera. I need to
Okay.
see in there. But yeah, Going Clear is fucking incredible, and it's like the Bible of if you want to know what the fuck Scientology is, watch that
Yes.
film.
Yeah, and it was made after a book as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's just like an all-rounder. It just tells you everything you need to know
Mhm.
in a really interesting way.
Yeah. Really well made.
Yeah, really well
5
made.
stars. Would recommend. Would force you to watch.
Would force you to watch is the review that we need to offer. But yeah, I like you said, I would love to know what other people's I will force you to watch this documentary is.
Yes.
I want to know because maybe you've never seen it,
Right.
and you'd make my fucking day if you
Yeah.
found me a good documentary that I haven't seen.
Honorable mentions go to that Chris Watts one that's currently on Netflix that just came out. That is really well made.
And it's directed by a woman.
Yes. A British woman, actually.
I listened to the podcast that you recommended, the
Mm.
Real Crime Profile. I listened
Yeah.
to the five-parter
They're
on
still
this.
coming out with episodes. There's now 8
Oh,
episodes on it.
that's such good news, Rachel.
Yes.
Thank you for drawing my attention to that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna listen. I was listening to those and they're fucking great. And they have the director on there
Mhm.
as a guest. And
Yes.
yeah, she's really interesting to talk to. And it seems like she had a lot of access, like to her to Nan's family.
Mhm. Yeah.
It seems like they spoke to her, and like she wouldn't really say on the podcast, but like I would love to get her in a room and have a
Oh
drink
my
with her,
gosh.
like not in a
Yes.
creepy way, like not in like a prisoner way, just like we are in the same room
You're sitting
voluntarily.
here and you're telling me what you think.
Yeah, because yeah, so interesting. And also, I listened to I looked at a YouTube video about Nicole Kessinger, the
Mhm.
girlfriend of Chris Watts,
Yes.
and they
Mhm.
were saying that they could prove that she lied about knowing that he had a wife, because she was like, I didn't know he had a wife. I
Yeah.
didn't like all this
Well,
stuff.
he told
When
her that they were separating. So she did know, but
Yeah, but Shanann's Facebook profile was public,
mm,
and on there she's got her like announcing that they're pregnant videos of them, like it's
yeah.
obvious, and she like would put hashtags on the photos being like hashtag power couple, hashtag best couple ever, like,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And they found searches on Nicole's computer where she had googled Shanann Watts like a lot, so it's
After
likely
the
that
fact though.
no, before.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, I
I'll
didn't
link
know
you to the
that.
video. I
Yeah.
mean, it could be bullshit, but like, yeah, she basically pretend like,
In Real Crime Profile podcast, they really give her a pass. So,
yeah, they really
uh,
defend her.
yeah. And I tend
I
to
mean, I
side
don't
with
think
them.
anything's, I don't think anything, obviously, none of it is her fault,
Oh,
but
yeah.
she downplays her involvement with Chris
Right.
to the police
Yeah.
in terms of her, basically, I think she knew he had a wife, and I think she fucked him anyway. And I
Yeah.
think he then said, I'm going to leave her for you.
Right.
That's what I think happened. And
Well,
she didn't want to say that.
he told her that they were separating, and apparently in the police interrogation of her, she was like, "He told me that they were separating. I didn't know that she was pregnant." So maybe she was lying about the pregnancy thing.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll never know, but like,
Yeah.
oh, she's fucking a guy with like, I don't know. It's a bit like, it's dodgy territory, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I know you're separated, but you still live with her. Like, fuck a guy that doesn't have that going on.
Right. There are lots of men out there. Also, she's
Who,
like a pretty girl. It's not like
Hmm.
she had no choices.
Yeah. Also, I think he probably love bombed her a bit.
For
Like,
sure. Yeah.
like you come, like he came into her life and was like, "Oh my God, I'm completely and utterly in love with you. Like, you're the best thing that's
Yeah.
ever happened to me." And like,
Right.
that's quite hard to turn down sometimes if you're
Yeah.
feeling a bit low.
True.
So it's probably half a dozen of one and six of the other or whatever.
Yeah. So I would recommend American Murder, The Family Next Door.
Loads to unpack in that. Like, you can really go down a rabbit hole.
Definitely.
It's really interesting to see their texts as well, I think.
Yeah. They do it really well in how they present them texting each other like as the footage
Yeah,
is happening.
yeah, that is done really well. So yeah, they are the documentaries that we recommend. And like we
Yeah.
said, let us know.
If you're looking for something to watch this holiday season, then check out one of those or let us know
Yeah,
what you're watching.
cool. Okay, well, thanks again, Patreon supporters.
Yeah, we will
And
talk to
we'll
you very soon.
see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.